Oh, he's very pissed off.
He's sorely vexed.
Yes, sorely vexed.
I spend this much time to set up these
He
lights.
does. Sets everything up for us.
And all this stuff, and get these guys mic'd up, 3 microphones each to get good quality audio.
Which we've got. That'll be on the replay.
What are we stuck with?
We're holding a cell phone.
Fucking cell phone.
It's great. It's great.
With.
But no, it's like having a roving reporter. It's like live, but it's like really live.
Watch your angles.
Yeah. So anyhow, I'm going to see if we can just set this as such.
We're going to try and do something now, and then the regular show. Oh, that looks pretty good, Crowley. It's fairly well on point.
Okay,
so the regular show will be obviously uploaded after this. So because we're live, look at this. We've got to kind of lean in to get in the picture.
I also am going to like close my legs.
No, your legs are fine, mate. Your legs
We
are
all
fine.
get to lean in on Jester for the next.
We're having a look at the picture, but
okay.
It looks like we're good. So this is a live podcast, as you are now well aware.
Well aware.
And it's an interactive podcast.
And for thousands of dollars in production value, we're on a cell phone.
Yes, we do have thousands of dollars of production equipment
phones
here,
aren't
and we are
cheap.
on an iPhone. So sorry if the audio is a little off. It will sound much better on the re-uploaded version. If you've got any questions or comments during the show, throw them in. We do watch it. We watch the comments coming in, and sometimes we even pay attention to them. So this is live at the lounge, and we are, as you can now tell, completely live. Sunday, September 29th. We're lucky enough to be at Cavalier Cigar Company, hiding upstairs, and we've got the guys from Texas Media Foundry trying to keep the wheels on the bus, so to speak. I'm Sam, this is Alex, and this is David, and we will be your... What?
He looked really cool. He's like, you know, like,
Well, he is really cool. I mean...
I'm not. I'm sweating my ass off right now. We're in the attic.
Well, no, like Fonzie. You're like the Jewish version of Fonzie. Was Fonzie
Fonzie
Jewish?
was
though?
Jewish.
Oh, we like the next version of Fonzie then.
Yeah.
He was...
I've run out of jukeboxes to hit, though.
jukeboxes?
That is becoming a
Not
problem.
jukeboxes. That's not,
Jukeboxes.
that's not allowed since 45.
Shouldn't you be in the...
What she said.
Shouldn't you be at Temple now?
I'm supposed to be at Temple right now. Mom, if you're watching this, I'm sorry.
He's really at Temple.
This is recorded in the past.
This is not live. This was recorded 3 hours ago.
All right, so as we generally start off, how was your week? Share a win with us. What's been going on?
A win.
Man, that bad, huh?
Yeah.
How about
it was
you,
a long
Alex?
week.
I had another agent screw me pretty good for the first time
That's
that
a win?
I had not experienced. No, not like that, but business-wise. So I had 2 appointments for Saturday, and I got a text message from her at 10:45 on Friday night that they had already put it under contract and decided to let me know then that they weren't doing any
They
more
must have
showings.
known before 10:45 that night. That
I'm
it was under
sure that it was in a
contract.
contract and
Yeah.
that it wasn't
Available.
allowed.
Well,
Yeah.
I will share a very valuable piece of information from actually the Jew on Peaky Blinders. Big fucks little.
It's true.
You know, there's always somebody bigger. There's always somebody out there with their best interests at heart instead of yours. So, unfortunately, in business, you're going to run across that, and it's just one of the things that you've got to take in your stride.
I mean, what's frustrating is that it could have been something where even if they had put in their contract, let me show my 2 clients, because I had 2 appointments at the same spot, separate times, that they could have put in a backup offer, or
even they could have told you on a Friday afternoon.
yeah, that would have been fantastic. So I mean, there's zero saving that, especially when they're both driving up from the Houston area and the appointments are at 1 and 2 p.m.
There's not. There's not.
At least they didn't tell you at 10:45 the next morning.
Yeah, there's not an overbearing amount of
Yeah.
professionalism in the industry we're in, unfortunately, though.
It's very true.
And we find that out as we go day by day. But I don't want to get too hung up on that. I am, if you've noticed, wearing my most colourful shirt, because over the last couple of weeks in the comments, we've had a couple of people suggest that maybe I wear dull clothes. So I came out with some flowers on. I'm surprised you guys haven't made fun of me for that.
Who
yet.
said
We
that?
have consistently.
Well, thank you.
But it's before the camera rolled. We were trying to be nice on camera.
Am I not supposed? I feel like I should be able to wear flowery shirts and not care. I mean, it's the job I want, right? Not the job I have.
Exactly.
You know, my ideal job would be owning a bar on a beach, and well, not so much owning it as just sitting at it and you know, drinking and playing guitar. So I'm still working on that, as far as career moves go. But I figure I'm about 3 career moves away from buying a bar and just sitting and drinking at it.
I mean, you could do it now. It's just a question of how long it would last.
Yeah.
Right.
And the fact that I'm still sober, still not wanting to sit at a bar and drink yet. But I think that
You're going to be close to 2 years on that.
It's a little bit over,
Yeah.
with the exception of a couple of drinks on vacation when I thought I'll give it a try, and then I decided I didn't really like it.
I admire that you discuss that so openly, but then you also talk about the time that you did it, but you were on vacation and you did it responsibly.
The reason I stopped drinking was until I had something good to drink about. I was drinking for the wrong reasons. So vacation, that's a good reason. Yeah, I'll have a glass of red wine with dinner and see how that goes, and it went well. And I went to the bar and I got me a double scotch and a Diet Coke and a cigar, and I took one sip of that scotch and it was just like, well, shit.
It's an acquired taste.
Yeah.
And you lose it after a while.
Well, that and it was Johnny Walker Red, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my ideal job is owning a bar on a beach and playing guitar at that bar. The only 2 problems I've got is I don't live near a beach, and I can't really play guitar very well.
This guy, hold on.
If more hurricanes keep hitting Houston, the beach might get close enough.
Well, no, that's what you do. You go to the beach and you buy a house 3 rows back, and 2 storms later you sell it as oceanfront property.
That's pretty smart. That happened in Galveston.
Now this guy is better than 80% of people at playing the guitar, but because he's really, really good at piano and drums, he thinks he's shit at guitar.
I'm not shit at guitar. I'm just not there yet. I'm not where I can play in front of an audience yet.
You could if you wanted to.
But would it? Yeah, I'm getting there.
You make better noises than most of the people in the room do with a guitar.
Well, thank you. I haven't hit anyone with it yet.
You know, it'd be neat is if you had they do the 3D holographic concerts now with different artists, back in the day.
Yeah.
You should do that for yourself, on a previous drum recording and piano, and then just do the guitar and the main
next generation multi-track.
Yeah,
I would absolutely do that.
Because then you're just you're the front man.
It might be the most narcissistic move I've ever heard of.
But then I'd have creative differences with the rest of the band, and I'd have to quit. So hold on, let me help you.
British thing. You sound like Oasis.
I got you, buddy.
Sound like Oasis?
Yeah.
There we go. I had to plug that up so we don't lose.
Sam Smith, Liam Smith, and Noel Smith.
Noel Gallagher was right. He said a lot of things in the '90s that he got raked over the coals for, but he was right about a lot of them. Number one being that smoking marijuana is as normal in England as waking up and drinking a cup of tea. And I thought, well, that's a little bit far-fetched. But as I've got older, and you start talking to more and more and more people, I think they were pretty wrong about Noel Gallagher.
There wouldn't be a multi-billion-dollar illegal drug trade if 2% of the population smoked.
But it's like going back to the stuff we were talking about before the show, and the stuff Eddie Murphy said in his Netflix special.
Yeah, we watched Eddie Murphy's Delirious the other day. From 1983.
1983, and this was when he was at the height of his fame.
Well, he was at this point, the only way people knew him was 3 years on Saturday Night Live. He hadn't been in any movies yet.
Had he not just done a big movie?
No.
Beverly Hills Cop.
Beverly Hills Cop was in 85.
Okay.
85 or 86.
I thought he'd done one.
He'd done one movie, but it wasn't a big one.
But he was the
tailpipe.
The first, within the first 2 sentences, the first word out of his mouth was faggot. And now...
The first 5 or 6 words out of his mouth were faggot.
Right, but in 2019, saying faggot in a live situation like this or on stage, that's a career-ending word
It worked for Dave Chappelle.
Well, that's Dave Chappelle, though.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is the attitudes of people...
The guy from all these movies, that people see him as a family-friendly actor... Don't realize where his career got started.
Flubber and
was he in Flubber?
Bob Saget.
Bob Saget.
Go watch Bob Saget's old comedy and then watch him on Full House.
Yes.
And tell me that's...
He says that in one of his stand-ups. He goes, holy fuck, the Full House guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He does an amazing rendition of the Aristocrats.
We're not getting into Aristocrats.
Yeah.
Because, Epstein's on my list, but I don't know that we're going to touch Epstein this week.
Yeah, he didn't know he was going to touch him either.
He's hanging on.
I've got a long list. I wanted to touch on my win.
Can't touch the ground.
I wanted to touch on my win for the week.
Please.
I had a decent week. It's been a couple of really rough weeks, making some changes around the office, and having to dig pretty deep at work to just stay focused on the stuff that I need to get done. So I'm not sure which camera to look at. It's driving me mad.
Which one are we looking at?
I'm looking at the phone, but I really need to kind of keep looking at that one.
Because that's going to be the one that we eventually air.
Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
It
just look somewhere in the middle.
Yes, look right in the middle.
The blue light.
So, you know, Thursday I represent a company that's doing the build out for downtown College Station for Midtown. So from that Thursday, I had to go to the local economic development conference, and it was great. I loved it. And one of the things that surprised me was how many people recognized me, recognized us, recognized who we are and what we're doing, and how many compliments I got. Oh yeah, I watched that podcast. Oh yeah, I've seen that around.
It really made us realize some of the stupid shit we say.
You really got to watch now what I say, because more people are listening than I realized. So thank you for that. So, but it was quite shocking, and it gave me that as an entrepreneur. You go through these cycles like this. One minute you're on top of the world, and the next minute it's not going so good. The next minute you're like, hey, I can do this. The next minute you're
it's like being
down.
manic depressive.
But only manic depressives get medication. Entrepreneurs don't. And you know, it was a really, really, really good kick in the ass for me. It felt good. Like, shit, people are actually watching what I do. They see the work that we're doing in real estate and in media as well, with the Media Foundry guys and stuff. And it's finally starting to click. People are catching on. So that was my win for the week. Stuff is like starting finally to drop into place. And then that gets me into like, how in the world, as all this starts to move forward, how do you manage opportunity with effectiveness? That's my biggest question.
Well, one of the hardest parts is recognizing opportunity before it's too late. So many people are so quick to be downtrodden or to be beat up in that cycle that they may miss the opportunity where it presents itself and not realize till later what they missed.
Yeah, but sometimes opportunity looks like a really nice apple, and you're like, wow, this is a really shiny apple, and you shine it up and take care of the apple, and you take a bite into it, and it's actually a shit apple filled with shit.
Yeah. Well, the problem is they say opportunity knocks, but opportunity doesn't tend to knock. It tends to drive by the window and wave and hope you see it.
I think there's something to be said with opportunity, and I have a difficult time. I've gotten better at it, but realizing that what I used to think was me inconveniencing somebody else, like asking for help sometimes, or just trying to discuss something or an idea. But then I really started to think, I get approached by people all the time. Hey man, can I sit down and have 10 minutes of your time to talk about a business idea that I have? And I'm always really grateful, even if it doesn't involve me, even if it's I'm not the right person to talk to, I can refer them. And then I started to think more about that, and that has led to opportunities. That was something. that got me working alongside you on different things. Is that
I get asked that all the time. We help me with my business plan. I'm like, man, I'm really not that good.
I'll take a look at it.
Yeah,
it's like I've helped people with that are in specifically sales type industries. I'm having trouble with this, I'm having trouble with that, and you miss the opportunity because you're like, fuck, I don't want to help. Like, I do want to help, but if they catch you at the wrong time, you'll put it off. Yeah, absolutely, we'll get to that. When you don't realize what those relationships can really bring.
And there's also differences between asking for help and then being a burden on people, because I know that there are people who like cling to somebody else, and it's like, I'm not ready to be a mentor for you or to take it on. Like, I'm not in a position to do that. So like, no, like I can't help that much, but if you need help with this, I'm more than happy.
You bring up a really important point, because in business, even when you think you're successful, you need to find a mentor, so to speak, even if you don't call it that.
I've got a couple of them.
But you need to find somebody that you may not even have relevant experience in your industry, but that can ground you.
And bounce ideas off that from a completely different perspective.
Yep.
And one of the things that
and be willing to receive the criticism. That's the hardest part.
That's true.
Right.
And criticism hurts, man. It stings. It does. But one of the things I wanted to look at was the cost of opportunities.
Well, I was getting ready to touch on that.
Opportunity cost. How many times at what point do you draw the line? I had a really big deal go down this week that we didn't get, and we'd been led to believe we were going to get it, and I'd given and spent a lot of time, over 40 hours, working on putting a well-made proposal and marketing plan and budget together for a company.
That was fun.
It was fun. Not getting it wasn't fun.
No, that was being
And
sarcastic.
the way we found out we didn't get it wasn't fun.
Yeah.
But it was a good exercise, and guess what? I've got a base now for proposals.
Similar
I've got a
opportunities.
very solid base for similar opportunities and proposals. But that cost me 40 hours of my time.
Well, in my industry, when we look at opportunity costs, it's really hard to pin down, because what do you do? In your industry, it's a lot easier to define what is an opportunity. In my industry, it's, I have so many facets of business. How do you define an opportunity? Is an opportunity a conversation? Is it a live body? Is it a phone call? Is it an internet lead? Is it and then how many of those how do you define what is a legitimate opportunity now and what might be a relationship building opportunity for later?
Right.
You know, the way we quantify cost is by looking at cost per sale. You know, and you start thinking about, you spend $500 to $700 per sale in advertising, and that's not even your full opportunity cost.
Right, but when you look at, like, we sell real estate, right? So you look at a house that might be, let's say it's $500,000 and it's 4,000 square feet, and it was last updated in 2004.
Yeah.
And it's got flowery wallpaper and it's got pink curtains, and the sellers say, hey, I want you to list my house for sale. Well, that's going to take me $1,500 to $2,000 in marketing to get it right and get it sold. Then we're going to put on an open house. And all the time I'm looking at a house that hasn't been updated in 15 to 20 years is $500,000.
2004 really is 15 years ago.
So in a section of the market where houses are moving every 8 months or so is what the sales cycle is on those houses, is that now an opportunity, or am I sinking money into something that probably won't sell? Because a statistic that a lot of people don't pay attention to.
Everything will sell if it's priced correctly.
Everything will sell if it's priced correctly.
But you have an interesting issue because
it's not a house, it's a home.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is you don't control the cost of your asset. You're being brought in as what is essentially consignment.
You should choose, though, your...
Oh, absolutely. There's time to say no to opportunities.
Correct.
You know, and we've talked about this on here before, where you may meet with somebody and their expectations are unrealistic. You can't ground them. It's let it be somebody else's problem.
Right. I can market and sell two $250,000 houses faster and cheaper than I can market one $500,000.
Now, I distinctly recall having a conversation with you after one of your last big deals, going, "Why am I messing with these $200,000 to $200,000 houses? They're a pain in the ass. I should only focus on $500,000 and up."
Well. And the $500,000.
You remember that conversation?
Is land.
Yeah.
Land and commercial. So what's happening at work, and I didn't know I want to get into this too much into the podcast, but what's happening at work is I have Living College Station, which is the residential real estate brand, and then I have a commercial kind of thing that we're setting up. But right now I work for the group that owns Midtown. So my commercial real estate is coming. It's taking time to set up. And then I've got the Texas Media Foundry. I'm working very closely with those guys, trying to help them get set up and bring in clients and put together a stable client base for those. Because once you've got 15 to 20 video clients, by the time you finish the video for client number 20, client number 1 is ready for a new video. So it shouldn't take too much on the operational side. And then I've got a client out of Florida that does financial software and investing software that I do all the marketing for as well. So out of those 4 things, the one that takes the most of my time and makes me the least amount of money is, strangely enough, residential real estate.
Sure.
So
it's because it's the one business in there that there's emotion involved in.
If I didn't have other options, I'd make a very nice living in residential real estate.
Well, now let's talk about identifying when you're stretched too thin. Because I remember having conversations with you when you were taking on the third of those things and saying, look,
it's too much.
Is this going to be too much for you to effectively handle?
It is. And what goes...
If those started 2 years apart...
Yeah, but what goes out the door, it's the residential real estate. I'm spending less and less time in residential and leaning more and more on Alex, who has just been phenomenal in picking up the baton and taking the shit and running with it. But there's going to come a point where Alex is going to have his own assistant, and Alex is going to be running hard in residential, and then Alex is going to make the transition to commercial.
Yeah.
So when Alex makes that transition to commercial, then we've got to look at, do I really want to build more residential, or do I want to take that brand and sell it?
Residential is a phenomenal industry for people to cut their teeth in. It's getting a rep, so to speak.
And that's kind of what we were using it for, is, you go after those house listings in order to get the land listings.
Your risk is lower, because if you bring a agent in and they have 2 or 3 residential listings and they fuck it up, what is your real loss?
Right, you lose the potential money you would have made.
But those 3 deals are less than.
But you lose. It's like you make one mistake and it cost me $5,000. That's fine. But in commercial, you make a mistake and it cost me $50,000. That's not fine. So again, it's back to cutting teeth where they need to be cut. But looking at it from profit centers and stuff and return on investment dollars.
Yeah.
I never intended to build a media company and help out with that And, I always kind of fancied commercial real estate, but I never thought I'd get invited to the table. And I've got these tremendous opportunities, again, with the marketing firm out of Florida. Got tremendous opportunities coming up.
But you like change. You like new stuff.
I like
moving.
Yes.
And so when an opportunity starts to become easy and starts to become profitable, you look at it and say, what can I do next? And you can lose focus on the first thing.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. But I am.
But
That's when we slap you in the head and say, what are you doing?
And I have been for a couple of months now, but seriously considering taking the Living College Station brand and just selling the blue sky, selling the name, the brand, the website, the videos, just selling that to somebody that's vested in residential real estate, and me just focusing more on commercial, like a lot more on commercial. Because going to the Economic Development Conference and being in the room with all the commercial guys who I already know, I've already got relationships with, like, why am I focusing on trying to sell houses when there's this massive development opportunity that I'm involved with, and there's commercial listings that we can go and get?
Because let's talk about the life cycle of the opportunity.
The life cycle and the cash flow behind it.
Yeah.
It may take 18 months to sell a building because there's not a whole queue of people with a couple of $1 million in their pocket to buy the building. So,
well, there may be, but the difference is with residential, people say, I want to buy a new house. They go talk to a lender. And realistically, that's a short time cycle.
It is.
It's 30 to 60 days.
About 6 weeks, yeah.
30 to 60 days to buy a new house from them making the decision of, I want to buy a new house.
Well, we shifted
If they've done it before and they possess the ability, it's 30 to 60 days.
We shifted our cash flow. We shifted our advertising models around.
Yeah.
And I've always advertised for listings and listings and listings because of the media and because of how we sell houses. And now we've started advertising on the buyer side, because it's a quicker turnaround. You
didn't want to deal with buyer clients.
Didn't want to deal with buyer clients, but it's a quicker turnaround. It's quicker cash into the company, and it allows me to focus on commercial listings.
And I'm doing the buyer side.
Alex is picking up on the buyer side.
Because the idea of walking a couple through 16 houses and her not liking the color of tile makes me want to claw my eyes out.
So that's one of the things that I talked about, and I get it if somebody, really has a difficult time with maybe 5 houses, or if there's like a street and they're all the same builder houses and they want to see like the 3 different models. I get that. But I think honestly, if you're showing 10 houses to the same client, you're not doing it. You should really try to get what they want, because the more you show them, the more dissatisfied they're going to be.
The more options they have,
paralysis
the harder it is to make their mind up. Yeah. Do I want that back porch? Well, I wish I could have that house with that patio and that jacuzzi.
Oh, but I like that kitchen.
And so the goal is now, more than ever, because the information's so available, the goal is you really want to bring them in the office, sit with them, narrow down what they want.
We call it needs analysis.
And give them an assessment and look at the properties with them on the internet and shortlist 3 or 4 to go see.
And you good, better, best stuff.
And ideally, you can get around it with a couple of rounds of showing, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. So I talking about dealing with clients, I brought a soapbox with me tonight, and I want a minute because I want y'all's opinion on this. And I think we've talked about it once before on the podcast.
1 minute, Slim Shady, you're up.
Let's go. Thank you for checking your freckles on your wrist.
Yeah. We both did one.
Firing a customer.
Oh.
So we had an issue the other night where a customer who had been with us for a long time came onto the service drive and acted in a manner of which nobody should ever act to another human being. Caused me a lot of fallout. Had to meet with a receptionist that she yelled at. Had to meet with a technician that she yelled at, which she never even gotten to. Had to meet with an advisor that she yelled at. And I think all of my people handled themselves in the best way possible. But I had to make that phone call and say, you're not welcome back here again. You need to find someone else to service your vehicle.
Yeah.
And that's hard for me because with my brands, the next closest store is an hour away. And that was what they brought up. They go, I got to drive an hour. Should have thought about that before you kicked yelled at, slammed doors, accosted and cussed at my people. Well, and what does that do? That was huge for me because your people see you say, no more.
You have to have their back. At any point or at any fight or at any, you have to have the back of the people.
And that's one of the first conversations I had when I came in was, look, I will 100% back you on your decisions. Make sure they're the right ones.
What's worse is if you've got 2 managers getting in a scrap, you've got to shut the door on manager 1 and say, look, mate, I see your point of view. I'm going to go and hit on manager 2 and get his side of the story, and I'm going to go back for you. And then you got to have the exact same conversation with manager
duality.
2. Say, look, I get it. I see where you're right. I'm going to go and hit up manager 1, and I'm going to go back for you. And
it depends on your people, because I've had an issue where there's a higher up in our company that is notorious for, if you come to them and say, I have a problem with so-and-so, they're gonna say, okay, hold on a minute. And they're gonna get so-and-so on speakerphone and say, hey, he's got a problem with you, let's work it out. We're gonna bring it to the forefront.
That's one way of doing it.
But I'm in an industry that is full of very strong alpha personalities that need to hash stuff out like that.
I get it.
I don't need that shit festering with those two guys sitting next to each other. Yeah. I'd rather pull them in a room and let them box it out and say, either we're gonna fix this.
Do you all still have boxing gloves up there? Or
we don't, we're not allowed to keep boxing gloves anymore. For a period of time, we had a set of boxing gloves behind the desk. Take off your name tag, go back and finish it.
Yeah, and that was until
somebody got their ass
blood
kicked.
stain in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And,
this was years ago.
No more.
Can't do that anymore. It's a kinder, gentler work environment. But
I don't know. I kind of like the old way, but that may just be something to do with my physicality.
Yes. But that's the thing is when the potential fallout. Before having that conversation, it's understanding with the power of social media that I was running the risk of this person going on social media and causing a real serious stir with one side of the argument.
Yeah.
And it's been proven that as the business owner, the best way to handle that on social media for larger businesses is just to let it happen.
Yeah.
Or you can also do things where you can reply back, especially now with social media, like with Google and Facebook, is that as the owner of the business, that year, it's pretty rough, that you're able to actually do a retort, because we had things with like the food park where we had somebody complain about something that happened there, and I mean, I just addressed it because it was about pricing. They said like our trucks were expensive and they spent like $25 on a meal, and I went through every truck's menu and listed what meals were, and I was like, what did you get, and can you explain that for me?
It was $25.
Yeah, because I was like, you're just making up stuff.
So I had an issue recently.
If I was Bill Gates, I would spend $25 at a food truck and be fat and happy.
Well,
Sorry.
So I had an issue recently where somebody sent us a survey. They didn't call us. They didn't say anything to our customer service person. We have a person that calls after everybody leaves and make sure that there's no issues, but burned us on a manufacturer survey because we were overpriced. So like my price of my oil change went up $12 since the last time I was there. It went from $100 to $112. Well, the industry average for my brand is about $100. Well, for that brand, and we called them and went, we pulled your old RO. It was 18 months ago. There's been an increase in cost of labor, an increase in cost of oil, increase in everything. Stuff gets more expensive.
Yeah.
Oh, I get that. Well, then why didn't you call us before you irreparably damage my reputation with the manufacturer? I will let you in on a secret here. Manufacturer surveys don't mean shit. The manufacturers don't read them. They don't look at them. They don't care about them. They use them as a punitive measure against the dealers, and they use them to get JD Power Awards. That's all they're for. They so that they can stand up and say, well, 90% of our customers are satisfied.
Right.
They're not. 60% of your customers are satisfied. Maybe 65% are satisfied. 15% don't give enough of a shit to fill out a survey, and the rest of them never get it.
Yeah.
But we had an issue on social media probably about a year and a half ago with one of our stores where a person told a mistruth on their application to the bank. The deal was coming apart because the financing couldn't be secured. They went on Facebook Live giving one side of the story about how the store was trying to change the deal and take their car away from them and locked them in the dealership. Well, there's push bars on all the doors. It was after 9 o'clock. They had locked the doors from the outside because it was after 9 o'clock. And this went viral overnight on the internet. It was like 15,000 views in like 18 hours.
That's awesome. How do you manage that from a social media management perspective?
The star rating for that dealership went from like 4.9 to 1.7 overnight.
Because everyone was hammering
They got like 7,000 or 8,000 one-star reviews on top of their 1,300 5-stars they had.
But you can't go to the customer's house and do a Facebook Live and give them a bad review.
Well, but and then talking to the attorneys.
You can.
Well, talking to the attorneys.
You shouldn't.
You can't. The hardest part for us is you can't legally
retaliate.
talk about somebody's situation that led to that.
There's no retaliatory measures that you can take as a business owner. You just have to go, yeah, all right, I'll take that.
That store still has their social media reviews turned off because Facebook wouldn't even help.
Well, I would too. I mean, there's no repercussions on the other side of the deal. There's none. I mean, it's the same in real estate.
It's like Yelp.
Mm-hmm. If a client wants to do something,
you can pay to have a bad Yelp review taken
which
off.
is ridiculous.
Yep.
But people don't understand that in real estate, if a client wants to do something, it doesn't really matter what's in the contract. The client's going to get their way.
Well, Yelp is funny because in this area, nobody gives a shit about Yelp.
Yeah.
But in some of our other markets, Yelp is such a force that people will threaten and say, I've got 400 Yelp reviews. If you don't fix this, I'm going to give you a 1-star Yelp review, and it's going to matter a lot.
Yeah.
And they're right.
So,
and they will try to hold businesses hostage with Yelp reviews.
My Google reviews will do that because all the different stuff I travel all over the country and I took
trusted
photos.
reviewer or whatever.
I have like a level 6 Google something traveler thing but
they give you a badge.
No, they sent me a pair of socks in the mail though. Pretty fun. But like some of my photos and stuff, it's 200 something thousand views on the different photos that I have.
Yeah.
But where you go to your Google page, my review will go to the top of people's pages.
Trusted reviewer.
A trusted reviewer in my photos. That's why they get so many views. But I've never dreamed of threatening somebody like that.
We had an issue where one of our stores was in the wrong place on the map. And it was some new buildings we were building that weren't there before.
Oh.
And so we kept changing the Google Maps and it kept going back. And we had to find somebody that was a level 17 warlock or whatever it was and have them move it, and it moved immediately.
Yeah.
Because Google has decided that they're going to trust that person.
They'll trust, Google will also trust random people because somebody changed our food park address on there because they said that it recommended changing the address, and we got a notification. I was like, what is this? And they were way off, and I was like, that's not it at all, and went back through and I had to fight them on it.
The problem is these companies are so big, there's nobody to call.
Right.
It's all
it's so frustrating.
Help ticket, it never gets answered. I mean, there's one.
A lot of them are AI responded.
There's one big
like
real estate company who shall remain nameless, but it rhymes with pillow. We can have listings go up with completely wrong map markers on them, and good luck getting them changed. Like different counties even.
That was my first listing.
Yeah,
my first listing.
That, where you'll click on a listing and you're like, it's located 14 acres off a university. Wait, hold on a minute.
It's not.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do as the agent to change it. Then your client's like, hey, this shows up wrong on Zillow. You need to fix that. I'm like, yeah, I've sent them 4 emails already.
Call Zillow.
Yeah, but sorry, pillow. It rhymes with Zillow. Wait, crap,
shit.
Never mind. But anyway, the bigger these companies get, like Facebook, like Zillow, like Google, there's nobody on the end of the phone to help you correct issues.
I was in here last night talking to Colton about this, and you can download now from Facebook your entire data file, according to them. I downloaded mine, and I've had my Facebook since 2006. It was 1.5 gigs. It had every single Facebook chat I've ever had. It had all the comments I'd ever made. It had every photo I'd ever uploaded, video I'd ever uploaded, even the ones that were deleted. It had location data, because for a period of time I didn't know it was tracking location data.
That'd be pretty cool to go get that.
Google has that too now.
Oh yeah, Google, you can request it deleted and stuff.
Well, and they just enabled that in the last couple of months.
I want to talk about politics for a bit.
Oh boy.
Look at your watch. What time is it?
It is, what, 7:46?
Well, we can go a bit over because we were cheated out of some.
Well, they're open till 9 now, so.
Yeah. So anyway, what in the world is going on? Why are we impeaching our president?
Are we?
So here's the deal. From what I've read on that, they are trying to get the impeachment proceedings running over a phone call that Donald Trump had with the Ukrainian president a couple of months ago, where he requested, and this is what they're saying, where he requested that the Ukrainian president investigate Joe Biden.
Right.
Now, the backstory to that is that...
Was there quid pro...
There was no quid pro...
Squid pro row, Mr. Powers.
Yeah. There was no quid pro quo as I could see it, but I'm not an attorney.
I didn't see it either,
He didn't say either investigate this guy or we're going to cut off all our funding.
Right.
He said, I'd like you to look into this if you can. Now, what was weird is if you go back and look at what he's asking about, Joe Biden's son was involved in some bad business dealings in Ukraine several years ago, and Joe Biden got it stopped. Like, his son was being prosecuted in Ukraine, possibly going to jail.
There was a journalist documents just a couple of days ago with sworn statements from the Ukrainian...
Prime Minister, President, whatever?
No, it's the other one. Prosecutor.
Oh, okay. Attorney General equivalent.
High up, like super high up in Ukraine, where he had said in a sworn statement that Joe Biden had told him that this needed to happen, or these.
Well, Joe Biden said it in a.
He's on video
forum.
bragging about it.
Yeah, on a forum. He said, and I told them that if you want your $400 million in aid, you're going to make this stop, and it did. So
that to me is more of an offense than saying, hey, mate, while I've got you on the phone,
that's quid pro quo.
Yeah, would you mind taking a look at this? Because we're getting some noise that there's a bit of corruption going on, some bad dealings. Would you mind having a look at this investigation for us?
Well, what he said was, I'm gonna have Giuliani call you, and I'm gonna have one other person call you, and let's see what we can get figured out, because it's something about it. There's no reason this should have stopped.
That seems like a fair enough conversation to me.
Well, and if
but
you go
what would happen if he would have said on the phone call, "Hey, do me a favor and don't look into Joe Biden"?
Oh, it would have been World War III.
Right, exactly.
Like if he had said that, why is saying
that would be
The
that would be
Democrats have been looking, coming into an election year, they've been looking for something to try to impeach him. But I think what's going to happen is that they are going to, what everybody forgets is that the impeachment of the president doesn't lead to a removal from office. It doesn't even prevent him from being reelected. There's separate proceedings for removal from office.
I am completely ignorant of what impeachment is.
Impeachment is basically...
For the longest time, I thought it had to do with blowjobs.
No, it did in the 90s.
Exactly.
Impeachment...
That was where my understanding of it ended.
So executive privilege means that, for the most part, the president's immune from prosecution on a lot of stuff. If he committed a gross felony, he could still be prosecuted on that, but it would go through the impeachment proceedings before it would go through a felony conviction, is my understanding of it. But like, if he doesn't drive, so he can get pulled over for a traffic ticket, but a minor misdemeanor, it's never gonna stick.
Right.
He has executive immunity. Same thing that we have with people from other countries. I can't remember what it's called.
Diplomatic immunity.
Diplomatic immunity.
Yeah.
A lot of people and their kids from other countries are immune from prosecution on a lot of things because it could start such an international incident. You know, there's been record of diplomats'
Prince
kids,
Andrew, for example.
Sure. Diplomats' kids being pulled over in the U.S. with weed or with cocaine in the car. It just goes away.
Not that Australian guy in Singapore who had drugs and they
ran him up the flagpole.
And they murdered him.
Yeah.
They were like if you do it again, we're gonna murder you. And
he did.
And then he did it again. And then the Australian embassy they called and they're like, hey, I know you got that guy. And then they're like, yeah, he's dead. And they're like, oh man. Well, whoops. And they're like, what? Like, Singapore.
But that's
what are you
one
gonna
of the things
do?
that the U.S. has always done, being the home of the United Nations, being the home of everything else. Is there's always been some diplomatic immunity. There's audio clips from Kennedy and there's audio clips from
Nixon?
Nixon audio clips are a different conversation. There's audio clips from the one that was the actor who...
Reagan?
Mel Gibson?
Reagan. Ronald Reagan's got audio clips where
who was the actor.
I mean, it was straight up, do this or else. But there's a difference in the way that we expect our presidents to act now to the way we expect our presidents to act 20 years ago.
Yeah, or 40 years ago.
Or 40 years ago.
Yeah.
It worked out so well for Kennedy. That's a whole different podcast for a different platform.
Yeah,
but
platform on that one.
The problem is, what I think the Democrats are going to end up doing is they're not going to make any of this stick. And everybody kind of called him the Teflon Don for a reason.
Yeah.
Nothing seems to stick to him.
But is this
it's a
now,
great nickname, right?
It's right. Fantastic. Let's say none of this had happened, right? Let's rewind to 2 weeks ago where nobody's blowing whistles and shit, right? Is Biden now in far more trouble than he was 2 weeks ago?
No.
Why? Because his dealings now and his son's dealings now are back in the media. And that was
because people hate Trump so much they don't care.
Who is that little girl that's talking about climate change? What's
some 12-year-old girl that they put up on stage.
Greta something.
What's that about?
They just found a 12-year-old girl and had her give this angry, heartfelt speech about climate change. Well, let's talk about the fact that the countries sitting in that room that were the gross polluters pointing at the U.S., who is not a gross polluter anymore. Let's go look at Beijing right now.
Right.
Can you see across the street in Beijing yet?
I don't know.
I saw India, Pakistan, any of these major developing countries going through the equivalent of their industrial revolution with no limits on emissions and carbon production.
Well, here's the thing though. I saw a very interesting George Carlin clip earlier today.
Yeah.
And he's like, we're not destroying the Earth. The Earth's going to be fine.
Yeah,
Earth's been
destroying
here
us.
for 4.5 billion years. It's like, we're just destroying humans.
Yeah.
It's like, and animals. And 90% of all species that ever existed are extinct now. 25 new species go extinct every single day. It's like,
well, and that's the problem, though.
Humans are going to go extinct.
Time will cure all, because if there is plastic floating around the ocean, there's already bacteria that is eating it. It's just not. It's just not eating it within a minute that we needed the straw to not go in the turtle's nose. So now it's a big problem.
They're dumping more cocaine in the ocean so that the turtles have something to do with the straws.
I was just going to say, how are they going to do coke now if they've not got any straws? Drop $20 bills in the ocean now?
Yeah. No, but it's the climate change thing is tough because people want to point at the U.S., they want to point at Europe, but realistically, the gross polluters aren't the developed countries. The gross polluters are India, they're China, they're some of the stand countries look at sub-Saharan Africa. For the longest time, developed countries were shipping e-waste to sub-Saharan Africa to be stripped, where there was no OSHA and there was no regulations, and they could use sulfuric acid flotation. They could use all this other stuff that you couldn't do because it's killing people.
Well, it's like in certain countries they mine. You're not going to believe this. They mine gold by using mercury.
Yeah.
Like, just there's some mercury. Let's wash the gold with it.
It floats. You know, you find something that has a higher density than gold and a lower density than rock.
It amalgamates to the mercury and pulls it out, and then later on you boil off the mercury.
Science.
I worked for a mercury specialization company.
No kidding.
Yeah, I went to Costa Rica and did a project down there. They call them artisanal miners.
Artisanal miners.
They literally cover their face with their shirt like it's going to do something with this spoonful of mercury that's the amalgamation with the gold and stuff in there. And I'm like, that works.
That's
nice respirator.
Yeah.
Over a candle.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like they're boiling heroin. I mean,
and then they throw the mercury or the waste and stuff just over their shoulder, like in the waste. They can't use it again, or if they can reclaim it, they don't. But the reason they get away with it and the government turns a blind eye is because the little local shop or areas, they get money enough to survive, and the local government just goes, okay.
Well, that's it. I mean, one thing I didn't realize.
Well, let's look at asbestos mining. For the longest, asbestos is dug up out of the ground.
I didn't know that. I thought it came out of buildings.
Well, it had to go into buildings in the first place.
Right. Yeah.
You know, asbestos, and I've been having a lot of conversation about this recently because my brother bought a 120-year-old house, and there's a risk of there being some asbestos in it. Well, asbestos is relatively benign as long as you don't fuck with it.
Right.
You don't cut it out of stuff. You don't.
Your brother doesn't seem to be the type to be chopping up his house, to be honest.
Exactly. He is not. I got the handy side of the family, but there's a photo floating around from Western Australia from years ago of an asbestos shoveling competition. They were shoveling blue asbestos into buckets, and there's just clouds of it. Everyone in the photo died, but that's.
Well, no, because if the picture's old enough, everyone in the photo's dead anyway.
Okay, everyone in the photo died prematurely from asbestos-related injuries.
Very specific.
Can you imagine that 100 years from now, they'll be like, and everybody on the podcast died.
Yeah. So the problem is what we think is safe now, we'll find out isn't safe later. That's how development is.
Well,
in the cloud of smoke.
Back to vapes.
Back to vapes.
And that kind of
well,
stuff.
The issue with vapes, I love all the vape people getting super upset about government overreach, and everybody else is looking at them going, oh, first time? You know, the gun lobbies and the tobacco lobbies and the alcohol lobbies are like, welcome to the club.
Yeah. And you're not in it.
Yeah, and the problem with vapes is the same problem they had with counterfeit cigarettes, and the same problem they had with counterfeit a lot of things was it's not the stuff that's done correctly. We don't know the long-term effects of vaping. It's only been around for less than a decade, right?
Yeah.
But we know that, being that a major component is propylene glycol, which is antifreeze.
Oh, nice. Didn't know that.
It is a major
different.
component in antifreeze. They switched from ethylene glycol to propylene glycol. When they went from green antifreeze to orange antifreeze, that was ethylene to propylene.
Huh.
Well, ethylene glycol tasted
third
okay,
carbon
but
chain.
would kill you. Propylene glycol tastes awful, but won't kill you as fast. Anyone that ever worked
kills
on
you eventually.
it's just a matter of rate.
Quantity.
Well, the issue with the counterfeit THC vapes is concentration of propylene glycol with other components that's causing this popcorn lung syndrome.
Right.
Which is frying the lungs. Smoking fries the lungs too. We're not saying that it's any better for you.
Right.
But it's an industry that has not been regulated up to this point that's about to be heavily regulated.
Yeah. And really, the issue they're having was with the counterfeits and not with the good stuff.
It was people buying the counterfeit THC cartridges for jewels.
So is it time to legalize?
It's not that. It's not. It's they were buying counterfeit THC cartridges. They sell counterfeit THC cartridges in Colorado where it's legal because they're cheaper.
I don't know anything about that world.
It's just a tough deal. You know, the state of Texas looks at those vape pens. If you get caught with a vape pen in the state of Texas with THC in it, because they can't measure the amount of marijuana, they weigh the entire device, including the batteries, and they charge you for that amount. So it's basically an automatic felony because they weigh, 8 to 12 ounces. That's intent to distribute.
I guess.
If you get caught with 12 ounces of weed, I assume, is a very large amount. A 12-ounce vape is not that heavy.
Good safe.
Yeah.
Good safe.
It's just tough. It's with any new industry that takes hold. There's going to be a period of government overreach and regulation.
I I tried a tobacco vape once. I'm like, yeah, I smoke tobacco. I'll give it a try. And it was quite big, and the outlet pipe on it was like that. So I just gave it man. I just about. I coughed and I coughed and I coughed. Of course, the guy who'd given me my buddy, he's just laughing his ass off. But vaping wasn't for me. It just because we don't inhale cigars, so there's no.
You can, but it's a bad idea.
I don't. It'd be like inhaling a cheese grater.
Dude, it'd be rough.
I know some old guys that do it.
Dude, I tried that vape and I inhaled it, and I just about coughed up a lung. It was awful. Would not recommend.
Well, that was a high heat, high quantity vape. You know, it's the difference between like a pen vape.
It was about the size of your hand when it was all said.
I think they call them mods, but they're big ass lithium-ion batteries, and there's videos floating around of those things going off in people's pockets because they're not regulated.
They'll get cheap knockoff batteries that aren't meant for that, and that's a big thing too.
They're not charged correctly. They don't have the right circuitry to prevent overcharging.
Well, because people take the easy, cheap road out, and they'll buy knockoff batteries and knockoff charging systems, and then also they will go around and reroute things and rewire stuff
to make them hotter.
To make them hotter.
Well, and then there's the issue where with a lot of the chemicals, if you burn them too hot, they become very, very toxic.
Chemicals are funny when you start messing with heat.
Yeah.
That's why I leave all the science to Alex.
So we have him. He's our resident science expert.
He has the science knowledge which we don't possess. I think he keeps some of it in his man bun. That doesn't really show up on the podcast though.
It's not.
Turn your head, show everybody out. Look at that, isn't that amazing? I love it. He's like a miniature Poseidon when he lets his hair down.
A miniature Poseidon.
Figure why I got it. I don't know. I was worried about people. A lot of my friends started going bald, and I was like, just gonna
save this for later.
Yeah.
He's actually bald right here.
Yeah, right here. You can't see it. I'm like,
It's like, give me a couple more years. If I start going bald in the back, the yarmulke will show up again. It's a bald spot.
Is that why you guys wearing those?
Yeah. Is that what we call the skull cap?
Yes.
Is that okay? All right. Cool.
They vary in size depending on religion and sect.
I am completely ignorant of.
Well, and if we're going to get on the religion topic for a minute.
What could possibly go wrong there?
So there was
3,000 gods that have been documented, and yours is the correct one. Well done.
You get to heaven and they go, Mormon was the correct answer. Mormon. God damn
it. Missed out on all those wives.
Those plates.
So the
I'm going to stick with Methodist because I like casseroles.
Their potlucks are better. But in the religion aspect, there was a fatal shooting in Houston recently of a sheriff's deputy.
Oh, yeah.
He was the first, openly Sikh sheriff's deputy.
Jeez.
Wore his turban every day.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, and he was allowed by the Houston Sheriff's Department, which is the largest sheriff's department in the country.
It's Harris County, right?
Harris County Sheriff's Department.
Yeah.
To wear his turban, and he wore a blue turban every day to work. And
that doesn't bother me at all.
Well, no, but the problem is after 9/11, people started associating the Muslims and the Sikhs.
Right.
Completely different religions. They couldn't be any further apart.
Right.
The Sikhs are a religion. They were a warrior religion, but from what I understand, mostly of peace.
Yeah.
I've never met a Sikh that I didn't like. They're all overwhelmingly nice.
I've only ever met a couple.
And there's some conversation about whether this was a racially motivated shooting or not. They're bringing that in, or a religiously motivated shooting. Now they're bringing it up. It turns out the guy that shot him was not white, so that's kind of going away pretty quick. But the fact that it's a conversation point, because as much as we talk about having religious freedom in the U.S., we have religious freedom as long as you're Christian.
Yeah.
I joke about it sometimes that companies throw Christmas parties. I very much will wear some relatively outlandish blazers to Christmas parties to silently protest my...
He's got a white blazer. He's got a white suit.
It's a suit.
With the Star of David, with blue stars of David.
It's like a giant Israeli flag.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's like my American flag blazer.
It's a good conversation starter. We'll put
it is, but it's kind of the running joke because I'm the only Jewish guy that I'm aware of in the company. And I am definitely Jewish. I had bacon on my salad today. And it's just tough because...
I saw him go bowling on a Saturday once.
I did, and you're not supposed to roll on Shomer Shabbos.
Yeah.
The problem is, and I've always felt this, we are a country of religious freedom as long as you're Christian. Other than that, I was shocked when I moved to Bryan College Station, which has a very small Jewish community, how many people were ignorant or afraid of Judaism.
Well, I remember it wasn't too long ago that one of the mosques got their windows put through for something.
Here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do
Really?
that?
Yeah. It was the one right over here by Fuego.
Yeah.
Had their windows smashed in.
Why do that? Yeah.
Who has the time? Who has the
Who has the
time?
Who has the time?
You know who I really don't like? I'm gonna go smash their windows. That'll show them.
Get a job.
I'm gonna mildly inconvenience them.
Yeah, do something constructive with. I mean, if you're gonna hate something, like feel it into a business or whatever.
Yeah, but you gotta remember the majority of jobs are just wages, rent payment, car payment, and then shots.
And then they get free time.
You know, they just go to the bar.
I don't know
and
what I
drink.
would do with a 40-hour-a-week job.
I'd
I'd get a second 40-hour-a-week
I'd
job.
love one. I was talking to a friend of mine today about the, you know, the push and pull and the being the entrepreneur, but having these little carrots waved in front of me, like, hey, come work for my company, we'll pay you this. I'm just like, man, that sounds a lot, and man, there's health insurance too, and I'm like, but I like hustling, and I just worry one day that the appeal of
you could be an HR nightmare at a 10 to 9 to 5 job.
I'd be a disaster.
Oh, God.
Disaster. Yeah, it wouldn't go.
It would go poorly.
I do all right in the office environment I'm in. I do okay.
It's because it's your office.
Technically, I mean, it's not my building, but I do all right. You know, I tend to get along well with most people. You know?
Well, on that bombshell.
Yes, it's about that time. It's getting on for just about 8 o'clock. So we're going to wrap this up as always. I want to thank our gracious hosts at Cavalier Cigar Company on University Drive for allowing us out here, and I also want to thank the guys at Texas Media Foundry who have struggled through this podcast with us because of issues on the Facebook server side. Nothing to do with the Media Foundry side. So the recording of the podcast will be up with correct audio and correct visual over the next couple of days when we get around to it. And I got to just plug the Media Foundry guys a little bit more. If you or any of your cohorts need video or need social media management, that's what these guys are getting into, and they're pretty damn good at it. A lot of the stuff I've seen from them has been exceptionally impressive. So check them out at thetexasmediafoundry.com or jump over on Facebook. I'm sure that one of the guys will put a link under the video. So other than that, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back next week with a couple of guests from the Economic Development Conference that I'm at. And we'll be moving back to the 2 hosts, 1 guest format. So thank you so much for watching, guys. It has been my pleasure and these guys' pleasure. And we will see you next week. Now, watch as Tex shuts off the phone. Here we go. There's an earthquake. Did you get it?
And out.
That was fun. I got pee. Ugh.